I'm Councilmember Jose Huizar, Chair of the Planning and Land Use Management Committee. I'm joined by Councilmember Gil Cedillo and there he is, Councilmember Mitch Englander. We'd like to get this meeting to order, please. And first on our agenda is item number 11. Can you read that into the record, please?
Sure. Item 11, Councilman, is the Director of Planning's weekly report. Mr. LeGrand is here.
Thank you, Mr. LeGrand.
Good afternoon, Council members. Mike LeGrand, Director of Planning. Just a few quick items I'd like to update you on. The week before last, the department was fortunate enough to host a conference on smart cities, lessons from Europe and California, with the city of Vienna, Austria, as well as the Austrian Ambassador's Office and the government of Austria, looking at different green technologies we can use in developing our city, as well as smart growth strategies and lessons learned from the Austrian experience, as well as things we're doing here locally in Los Angeles. We had great participation from the universities of UCLA as well as USC, and a number of staff members present on the panel, as well as the Austrian Institute of Technology. So we're very happy to have that participation across countries to kind of learn about best practices actually around the world and lessons we can learn from each other, and have a good time to kind of meet our colleagues in other cities, as well as the director of Vienna's planning department. So we were appreciative of that event, and I think the staff learned a lot who were involved. In addition, the department's been actively engaged in many of our updates of our community plans, holding workshops and small focus groups, and we're excited to bring a number of those forward in the next coming months. The CPIOs, the Community Plan Implementation Overlay Zone drafts for the South Los Angeles plans were just recently released a few weeks ago and are available on our webpage, and we're really excited to see the work of Craig Weber and his team move those forward. I'll be available for the meeting for any questions you may have, and look forward to working with you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. LeGrand. And one item, we were just, both Councilmember Cedillo and I were in the Economic Development Committee, and we discussed the new Economic Development Department and the creation of a nonprofit to assist the city in developing its economic development strategy and plan. And I think it's a great move for the city to have that. We don't have one now. We're not really taking advantage of the opportunities and what we have to offer as a city to attract more business and support the business that are here. I would just ask if you could have some discussion with the CAO about what, if any, the planning department and how they will connect and work with this new department and the nonprofit where it pertains to land use and planning.
Yes, we'd be happy to.
They're going to come back with a report to that committee, and right now they're taking input before they release their final RFP for the nonprofit. So it'd be an opportune time to do that.
Thank you. We'll follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Next item is any other questions for Mr. Grant? No. Next item is item number 10.
Item 10 is an appeal, Councilman, and I believe there's a request to continue.
Yes, if we could, there's been a request to continue this item to this committee, Plum, on October 29th with no objection. Anyone here on this item? Okay, October 29th, this item will be heard in this committee. Next item, 7.
Item 7, Councilman, is a report from the Central APC. It has to do with a proposed zone change.
Okay, if there are no objections, we will approve this item on consent and do a change from R41 to that item listed there at 901, 903 South New Hampshire Avenue with no objection on consent. So ordered. And now we will go to, we have a number of appointments to the City Planning Commission, and we could ask item number 1 to be read into the record and ask David Ambrose to please come up.
Item 1, council members, is a communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mr. David Ambrose to the City Planning Commission.
Welcome, and thank you, Mr. Ambrose, for agreeing to volunteer and put some time into this very important commission for the City of Los Angeles. You went to a great law school, UCLA Law School, right? We have the #1 Bruin fan right here, Mr. Cedillo. No, that would be Berkeley, sir. That's public school. But thank you. You have a tremendous, a great resume in terms of your commitment to public service, and we'll start off this conversation by asking you generally your interest in serving in the City Planning Commission.
I am very interested in serving in the Planning Commission.
And why? This
This
is not a depot.
Don't answer the question unless asked. I'm very interested in serving. I had the pleasure of working with them throughout the years in various roles, be it my work on the East Hollywood bid, the Virgil Village Steering Committee, or the Hollywood Community Plan Update Task Force, which I participated with for something that felt like 30 years, but it turned out it was only a few. And I found it a very empowering role as a fan and lover of Hollywood and Los Angeles to both be heard and also engage my neighbors in the process. So I loved the work, and when I was thinking about opportunities to continue my volunteerism, I thought this would be a really exciting way for me to be part of improving our city.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Mr. England or Mr. Cedillo? Mr. Cedillo? Can you speak?
Yes.
Helps us, and also with the bids and what you see the roles in the future in planning in the city of Los Angeles.
So I had the pleasure of serving as executive director of LA City College Foundation and teaching there, and I think we met in that role. I think it's a very relevant experience. You know, when I got there, it was a very impoverished foundation, and what I learned was we weren't doing all that we could to engage the communities we were supposed to be serving, and they needed to be outreached to, they needed to be built bridges to. We needed to do culturally competent outreach and fundraising, which we did. We more than quadrupled the scholarships we were giving. We helped restart the nursing program to serve what we affectionately call Pill Hill in East Hollywood. And I think it's that idea of that outreach that you have to proactively be part of, and I got to steer, that led us to have one of the largest endowments of a community college and also expand our nursing program and our Voc Tech programs. I think it's a very relevant experience. I got to know so many different schools, community activists and leaders, and help them learn what we were about and how they could take advantage of us as an institution that's supposed to serve. And I completely forgot the second part of that question.
The bids, the role of the
The
bids
bids.
as we evolve in terms of planning.
In the traditional thing of dominoes, right? So I started the LA City College, I started working there, and then I concurrently was part of the formation of the East Hollywood Business Improvement District. I'm sure many of you have been there. It's an area that is between things, as I like to think of it. It's between Koreatown, it's between Los Feliz, it's sort of in Hollywood. It's between things, and I always thought of it as this beautiful intersection of cultures, transportation, and communities. And LA City College, the historic institution that it is, could serve as a convener in East Hollywood. But there wasn't necessarily the organization there that was serving just that community. So the hospitals were employing people, the school was educating people, but the businesses weren't necessarily talking to each other. The school wasn't talking to the hospitals. The businesses weren't hiring the kids coming out of our Voc programs. So I just thought this organization could really be helpful there, and I accidentally became the chair of it. And we did even more. We secured an MTA grant, so we're going to have landscape medians and traffic calming measures, which we did a design process with the community. It was a fascinating experience, and I'm glad I'm no longer the chair.
I don't want to take a lot of time. So the role of the bids in terms of planning, would we look at them in terms of resources, other obligations in terms of getting sign-off, in terms of how we look at that? How do you see, what role do you see them playing?
What I really liked about working with the various council people involved in the Hollywood community writ large was their ability to do outreach to the different constituencies, mostly through organized groups, but also obviously one-to-one. But what I've loved about the bids is they provide a forum for engagement on big issues, on small issues, on medium issues, on random issues. And I was really proud that during my service on the bid, we worked to help the Virgil Village Steering Committee, which is an often overlooked street that has an amazing community from various parts of the Hispanic community, but they've been largely disenfranchised and ignored. And so we were able to, from the bid, support their work to get that Virgil Village Steering Committee up and running, which was with our relationship through council. So I think it's a great idea to consult bids. I think it's a wonderful forum where they come together in an organized fashion. So it's a Costco, if you will, a one-stop shop where you can kind of get one perspective in the community. And in that sense, I think the bid that I served on was really supportive of those efforts with council and the city.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for your willingness to serve. We have one public comment card on this item, so if I could call the public comment. George Abrams.
Yeah, my comment is for all the 5 appointments. I hope these people realize that they're here to represent the people and just not the developers. In Hollywood, they're going to be faced with many decisions regarding the bad decision to make Hollywood a regional center and the failed planning model of transit-oriented development. They should keep an open mind and they should seek other viewpoints. The Wall Street Journal had an article a few days ago by Wendell Cox, who was a 3-term LA County Transportation Commissioner and former Hollywood resident, and where they found that Florida got rid of all TODs because all it did was cause a disruption in price inflation in the housing market. So I hope these people will seek alternative views on transit-oriented development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So without objection, we'll recommend appointment of David Ambrose to the City Planning Commission and move this item. So moved by Mr. Cedillo, and without objection, we'll do that. This item will be in council tomorrow for full approval by the council. Congratulations. See you tomorrow. Next item, number 2.
Item 2, council members, is a report from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mr. Robert Ahn to the City Planning Commission.
Thank you. Mr. Ahn. Thank you, and welcome very much. You attended the law school at that other university in the town, and
yes, I did. Hopefully you won't hold that against me, though.
okay.
Thank you.
And thank you as well for your willingness to serve, and you currently serve as the Senior Vice President and General Counsel to Western Investment and Properties Company. Do a lot of work in real estate and development, and that would certainly help in this commission, your expertise in that area. We also want to thank you for your volunteerism that you've done, and you recently also served on the commission on redistricting, which I think your input there was very valuable as well. As we did with the previous nominee, your interest, or why are you interested in serving on this commission?
Thank you. First of all, thank you to the council members for your time today, for giving us a chance to introduce ourselves to you. As far as your question, I believe that planning is perhaps the one commission that best reflects my experience to date. For the last 10 years, I worked as a real estate transactions attorney. But not only that, I've also worked on a nonprofit, which some of you have already familiar with, the Pacific American Volunteer Association. And planning is I think, that one area where law and politics and community all converge into one space. And I believe that my unique experiences lend itself very well in that arena.
Thank you. Mr. Englander was just pointing out that you went to USC, to Mr. Cedillo. So.
It's a great private school. It's a great private school.
Great. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments for Mr. Ahn? So thank you very much, and without objection, we'll approve this item, moved by Mr. Englander, and without objection, we'll move this forward. This item will be in full City Council on the 30th.
Thank you.
I'm sure our staff and the mayor's staff will coordinate that with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Next item, item number 3, please.
Item 3, council members, it's a report from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mr. John Mack to the City Planning Commission.
Thank you, and welcome, Mr. Mack, and thank you for your willingness to serve on this commission, but you're no stranger to serving on commissions, having just served with a tremendous career at the Board of Police Commissioners, and let me publicly thank you for your service on that, as you always watched out for equity and watching out for the residents and make sure they had a voice with respect to public safety in the city. And your service in the LA Urban League is unquestioned in terms of your commitment to the community and making sure that all voices in the city of LA are heard. Your legacy in terms of what has been accomplished in every organization you've been involved with is tremendous. So thank you. And what is your interest in serving on this commission?
Thank you very much, Chairman Weezer and members. You're right. For the past 8 years, I was singularly focused as a member of the Police Commission dealing with law enforcement matters, and that was a very rewarding experience. But in my life before that appointment, during my years, 37 years as president of the Los Angeles Urban League, a number of issues that were of critical importance to our constituents certainly fall within the purview of the Planning Commission. First of all, just the commitment to make sure that as the planning process goes forth, as we have major kinds of expansions and programs and projects, that the quality of life, particularly of the residents of the most vulnerable areas of this city, are given a very, very high priority. We are going to have a number of major construction projects as job implications, small business, minority business opportunities, and these are some of the areas that are of particular concern to me. And so it's sort of a refocusing in some areas that previously were very important, but most important to make sure that I certainly fully support planning, but that it be done on an equitable basis across the board, so that all of the cities in our uniquely diversified city are well served.
Thank you, and I'm very happy that the mayor has nominated you to serve on this commission, because sometimes we often forget that through planning and our land uses, issues of social justice and equity can always come up and do come up, and we sometimes oversee them as we are making those decisions. And I think your perspective on this commission is going to be very highly valued, so thank you for that. Any questions, Mr. Cedillo?
No, just let me echo the praise of my colleague. Thank you for your public service. As I mentioned to you earlier, I'm tempted to vote no just so that I could get you to go write your book and your biography. That would be part of the important social history and social fabric of this region. Atlanta's loss and the loss of the South was our big benefit when you decided to come out here to the great weather of Southern California. And I have no doubt that, and absolute confidence that your charge and your fight for equity in the city as it related to public safety was critical, and I think the best preparation that we could have to ensure that planning in the city reflects equity, and that we don't have the types of restrictive covenants, implied or specific or unintended, that seems to, in some respects, impact the way planning and development takes place in the city. There is a divide between extraordinary wealth and poverty in this city, and we need to do all that we can in terms of planning to ensure that that is not the result that we're working towards, or a result that we get in an unintended fashion. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Englander?
Just want to say congratulations. As the chair of public safety as well, and working with you in your former capacity, truly enjoyed it, and a lot of the conversations that we had over the years as well. And I look forward to working with you in this new capacity. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, without objection, I think we're all jumping to move this. And so, thank you very much for your willingness to serve, and we look forward to working with you, Mr. Mack. Thank you. Next item is item number 4.
Item 4, council members, is again a communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mr. Richard Katz to the City Planning Commission.
Welcome, Assemblyman Emeritus.
Mr. Chairman,
I had the
members,
pleasure of serving with you at the MTA board, and I'm wondering who's running that place now that you're going to come over here to the commission. No doubt you are one of the experts in transportation policy for the city, if not the country, with your knowledge, having been the Transportation Committee Chair for a number of years in the Assembly, and then your work on the Metrolink and Metro. And I enjoyed working with you. I've seen your style, your work ethic, and your compassion and dedication. So I think this commission is going to be well served with your appointment there. As I'm asking all the commissioners, what is your interest in serving on the Planning Commission?
To be honest, it was limited until the mayor called, which increased it significantly. But the mayor was very gracious in reaching out, and I greatly appreciated his doing so. As you said earlier, we all live in this city, and we all want all of you and the mayor to be successful. And we always measure that. One of the ways to measure that is quality of life issues, and I can't think of a commission that addresses quality of life as well as planning does, because it does tie into the EJ issues, it ties into the transit issues, the transportation issues, and the question of how we move people at the same time we preserve the integrity of our neighborhoods is critical. And I look forward to engaging with the Planning Commission and this committee and the Mayor's office on how we get that done in LA.
Thank you. Mr. Eglander?
Yeah, I've just been reading your bio here since I think we've met once or twice. Very impressive.
Thank you.
Mr. Katz.
Mr. Englander,
You've
Councilman,
got some
thank you.
legislative history and some knowledge of operations in the city, and that'll be refreshing. All kidding aside, I'm thrilled and very excited and that you're going to continue to participate at this level because your expertise and not just your experience and knowledge and what you bring to the table, but your fresh approach to bring people together to get things done, to make sure that, and there are some real big issues coming to city planning as well, not just big projects, but as we look at major changes in how we process various functions in the city, and your input is critically important on that and valued. As we look at rewriting the code, which is something we've undertaken as well, your input is incredibly valuable. And so I'm thrilled that you've accepted this as well. And it's great to be on this side of the podium from you for a change. So my hat's off to you. Thank you. Thanks for wearing a tie today, too.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman.
You still have your
appreciate
boots
that.
on, I think,
the
right?
boots. Yeah, the boots are still here with the tie.
Mr. Cedillo?
Yes, the comment you made is actually one of the things that I'm particularly interested in, is how we do a better job of integrating transportation solutions and planning, because I know, having sat on the MTA, oftentimes, people are always on both sides shaking their head, how do we get here? And there got to be better ways to do that. So I look forward to working with you on that.
Also, congratulations and thank you for all your public service. You also need to write a book.
Statute hasn't run on some of that stuff in Sacramento yet, so we'll have to wait a while, but I appreciate it, Councilman.
Okay. I would ask, so I'm interested in look forward to you being on the commission, because we're going to need your leadership, your experience, and your guidance around the river, and your experience with water. And it really is going to be central in terms of planning how the city can transform itself into a next generation in terms of a new destination, both for economic development, cultural tourism, green habitat, nature, etc. So I'm really excited about the prospects of you joining the commission, and congratulations.
Councilman, thank you. I look forward to working with you on those. We've worked on challenges in the past, struggled through to get answers, and I look forward to doing that with you and the commission and the committee.
Thank you. So with a lot of problems that this city faces and issues, you have a proven track record of being a problem solver, as you did at MTA, and look forward to working with you here as well. Thank you, and we'll move this item without objection. And this item as well is in council on October 30th.
Thank you, Chairman. Members.
Next item, number 5.
Item 5, council members, is a communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Ms. Maria Guadalupe Cabildo to the City Planning Commission.
Thank you, and welcome, Ms. Cabildo. I look at your track record in terms of service to community and really understanding neighborhoods and the importance that the role of planning, land use, and development plays in that quality of life that Mr. what was previously mentioned, you really understand that you're there in the trenches each and every day, and you brought much-needed housing for the greater area of East LA in those areas that needed them. So you understand this field well. I think it's the mayor should be commended for another great appointment to this commission. I think this commission as a whole, with everyone's different perspective and yours there, you guys are the leaders and lead thinkers in some of these areas. So again, a tremendous asset to the commission. And so I want to thank you for your service. You're very busy as it is. I see you everywhere in terms of working on different projects. I wonder how you're going to find the time for this, but somehow we all do. But again, the question is your interest in serving in the citywide planning commission.
Sure. I've been a student of planning almost all my life. I grew up in East Los Angeles, right on the border of East LA and Boyle Heights. And I had that unique experience of growing up in a neighborhood that was very under-resourced and didn't see a lot of positive investment. And my father's a tailor, and he worked, of course, in Beverly Hills where people needed to have their clothes tailored. And we would take the bus from Boyle Heights to Beverly Hills, and I saw how different those neighborhoods were. And I realized at a very young age that neighborhoods are treated differently, and there's a different level of investment in communities. And at that time, I decided that I wanted to think about how we could bring investment and positive investment into neighborhoods like the east side of Los Angeles. And so I became a student of planning. I studied urban planning at Columbia University. Then I went to MIT and was very unhappy with the program there because it was a program that I felt was very top-down. And I was interested in bottom-up planning, where people that are traditionally disenfranchised and not involved in planning processes are actually involved in planning. And so the work that I've pursued has really been around building and investing in communities, but at the same time bringing along people that are traditionally not involved in planning decisions to make them part of decision making. And principally I've been very focused on bringing low-income renters and immigrant families into the planning process. And I'm interested in bringing the experience I've had as an affordable housing developer, someone who knows finance structure, community development, community organizing, and asset building to the commission.
Great. Thank you. And I'm certainly excited to see you get to work with some of those principals that you've been working with in the East Side area on the Citywide Planning Commission. Any questions, comments, Mr. Cedillo? None? Okay. So with that, we have cards, that's right. Okay, we have some cards here, some public comment, so thank you very much. Yeah, and we'll call up the other people. Theresa Marcus, and we each have 1 minute to speak. Theresa Marcus.
I'm Theresa Marcus. I'm a homeowner in Boyle Heights and an activist, part of MELA, part of Boyle Heights Stakeholders Association, and several other organizations working for the quality of life for our community. I have totally worked strictly for my community. No money, nothing in exchange. And that's why I'm here. Maria Gabildo has done affordable housing, and all of us do understand that we do need affordable housing to a point. She has overwhelmed Boyle Heights with affordable housing and everything else. The other thing is that she does not allow the community to speak out or to say anything. Maybe one project that I could remember she allowed it was that...
Ms. Marcus, your time is up.
I'm sorry.
If you could wrap up.
Okay. But she does not deserve this job because she has done everything against the community and not with the community. And she's violated the Brown Act and disability.
Thank you very much.
Because she does not provide any entrance for disabled people. Thank you.
Rosalie Garola.
My name is Rosalie Garola. I'm a Boyle Heights resident and I'm a homeowner. First of all, Councilman Cedillo, thank you for your Keep It Clean campaign in Boyle Heights. We hear about it and we're very envious. Ms. Cabildo has done many projects, as was previously stated. She is very much responsible for densifying Boyle Heights, very much so. Again, I also agree the need for affordable housing, but she's been doing that for 15 years. The issue here is she has done all of that with 100% support of our councilman, who formerly worked on that with that institution also. She has paid organizers, yet the residents in Boyle Heights have no voice. We have not had a town hall meeting in Boyle Heights since 2007. Ms. Cabildo, to be approved for the City Planning Commission, when we all know that the councilman supports 100%, is a major conflict of interest. And actually...
If you could wrap up your thought, please.
Okay. It's a major conflict of interest, and to have even considered it raises it above the level of many political questions.
Thank you very much. Sofia Quiñones.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I am not Sofia Quiñones. I'm just here to say a couple of sentences on her behalf.
Oh, we don't allow that. They have to be here and speak if they submit a card. Otherwise, people could do that for 10 people and we'd be here forever. So
then I can say it.
You could say you could speak on your card. You submitted a card.
I did. And I'll mention her name regarding her quote in my statement. Okay. Thank you.
So you're up next. Nadine Diaz?
Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Nadine Diaz. I'm a fourth-generation constituent of Boyle Heights, property owner. I'm 51 years old. I'm a social worker, MSW, and clinical therapist. I've been in research since 1995, and I also at USC, and I work at California Hospital in downtown LA. I'm here with grave concern with this appointment. I'm also an activist, longtime activist, and from my observation, what I have seen over the past 20 years is that, yes, there is a need to upgrade Boyle Heights in the east side and to make it a better place, quality housing, quality commerce. However, what we have seen there is a lack of input from the community, the stakeholders, the business people, the people who actually live there, work there, pray there, go to school there. What happens is Ms. Cabildo hires so-called minions to come in to explain to the community that they are from the community and they support her projects.
Okay,
I want to wrap it up real quickly. I do have a background in planning. What I recommend is that because I believe this is based on campaign donations in which Ms. Cabildo gave over $500 to Eric Garcetti, and also to you, and not to you, Mr. Englander, but a little bit to Mr. Cedillo. This is a conflict of interest. I am a planner. We need to do asset and deficit mapping of our community and not allow, quote-unquote, poverty pimps in our neighborhood.
Thank you very much. Rita Govea Rodriguez.
The federal government's also investigating this, too.
Good afternoon. My name is Rita Govea Rodriguez. I am 66. I am a homeowner. I am a resident in Boyle Heights. Grew up in East Los Angeles. I too grew up on the border of East Los Angeles and Boyle Heights. I represent the property owners on North Indiana, Cheeseboro Lane, part of East First Street. We do not get notified when these buildings are being put up. There is one being put up on First and Evergreen. No one received a notice that construction was going to be for affordable housing, but we understand it's going to be for another use besides affordable housing. There's a piece of property on First and Lorena that is being considered for so-called affordable housing, but in reality it's for bringing some of the homeless to the east side, which we already have a few too many in our neighborhood, and it's too close to schools.
Great. Thank you. Arturo Fierros. Good.
I'm in complete opposition of this. Maria doesn't have the best of interest for Boyle Heights. These people work, they don't get paid for it. None of us get paid for it. The people that get paid for it, they have interest in it. And it's not the interest of the neighbors and the people that live there. One time we had a meeting when they were doing the Lorena Terrace, and she snapped and yelled at the elderly at the meeting there and asked them to be quiet. She disrespected the neighborhood because she I don't know why, but she did it. She apologized. The First Street and Lorena project, from what I hear, is they're going to put homeless people and ex-drug addicts and all that. And Boyle Heights is changed. It's changed. It's not like it used to be anymore. To bring more of these people, and there's one in Percy, it's just making it worse. I'm starting to see people like homeless people there, and we're in complete opposition of that. So please listen to our cries. We do not need Maria Cabrilda in this board. Thank you.
So thank you very much. On this item, we'll move this item forward without objection to full City Council, and this item will be in full council on October 30th. Thank you very much. Next item, please. Thank you to other commissioners. We'll see you on the 30th, and one of them was on the 23rd. Thank you.
Item 6.
Next item number, is it
6, Council?
6? Yes.
Yes, item 6 is the motion Huizar Cedillo. It's instructing planning with the assistance of City Attorney and Cultural Affairs to prepare an ordinance that would allow murals in single-family residencies in Council Districts 1 and 14.
Okay. On this item, is the City Attorney prepared to give remarks and give us an update on this?
Yes,
just an update.
Yes, it's an update. Ken Fong for City Attorney's Office. I just want to let you know that planning has prepared the ordinance, and I think that it's relatively short. We should be able to have it within a few weeks. We still need to have the environmental and the staff report from planning, but I assume that those will be forthcoming.
Okay, so the ordinance itself will be ready in a few weeks?
Yes, but we do need to have the environmental. That's a part of the...
Okay. So, and when can we get the environmental completed?
We should have it finished by this week.
State your name.
Oh, Tom Rothman, the Planning Department, the project manager for the mural ordinance with the Planning Department. We have already finished our ordinance and our staff report. We'll just need some legal counsel on how the environmental should be done. Should this be tiered off the old environmental or something completely separate? But we have enough information to do it fairly quickly.
Okay, and so can I then conclude from this that we could probably see this in Plum in 15 days?
I mean, it's conceivable. I would like to just have us get everything and then we can do it and not have to reschedule. But I think it'd be better for us to be done and then we can schedule it.
But we're in that range, right? 15 to 30 days, I think, or less than that. Okay.
I think that
sounds about right. Any questions, comments on this?
I want to thank the staff for their diligent work. I think, as you know, I have a great sense of urgency, but I want to thank the staff, and I also want to, being unfamiliar as I am with amendments, I spoke to someone who had an interest in expanding this. Evidently, people in Venice now want to partake in the exemptions that were carved out for 1 and 14 and 9. And so I just want us to be open and available to that.
So it's Venice wants to also participate in this?
Yes, this was what was brought to my attention, correct.
Okay, well, they should contact planning because whatever I prepare, I'm just going to prepare what's been given to me now, and either you can make that amendment when it comes to Plum, or planning can do that now.
Got it.
Okay, and
I'll direct them to planning.
I just wanted to note that, Tom Rothman, I want to note that we are exempting these areas based on council districts. So right now, in the proposed ordinance, we're exempting council districts 1, 9, and 14. I know Venice is part of 11. I'm not sure. We have to think about which should we exempt all of council district 11. That might require a meeting or two.
Yes, I think I hate to be speaking for the council member or his constituents, but I think it's important for them to resolve that. It seems that the cleanest way would be to have council districts either participate or not.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, so Council CD11 should speak to you. If it's just Venice, then you have to carve out that area, or if it's CD 11, that's something you have to work out with that council district.
I should meet with them.
That council office, I mean. So, thank you. Let me go now to public comment. We have a number of public comment cards. And so where we are now, before we hear the public comment cards, is that this item will come back to this committee within 15 to 30 days. That's our plan, and we will hopefully adopt it at that time. We will have the full ordinance prepared, and then we will submit it to full council. That's kind of the direction we're going. So with that, it includes CD 9. CD 1, 14, and 9.
Because Mr. Price mentioned it at the joint
Yeah, at
meeting.
the joint committee,
Right.
we made an amendment that we had a joint committee with Arts, Parks, et cetera, and Health, whatever it is. And all. And Plum, and we amended it to include CD 9 at the request of Councilmember Price. So with that, let me go through Rob Catherman from CD 9. You're good? You guys are in there? You're fine? Okay, you've got 50 more seconds. Anything you want to share with us? Dodgers didn't win? Anything? No? Okay, next year. Thank you. Emily Winters, and then after Emily Winters is Suzanne Thompson. And public comment is 1 minute.
Good afternoon. I'm Emily Winters. I'm co-founder and chair of the Venice Arts Council, and want to commend Plum for the wonderful job they did on this mural ordinance. It was a long process. The Venice Arts Council, myself especially, was involved from the very beginning, working with Tanner Blackman, who had a great job of pulling us all together. I would like to recommend that Council District 11 be included in the pilot program. It was talked about originally, but it doesn't have to be all of District 11. It could be just part of the Venice area. There are many, many, many artists who do murals in other cities because of the past ordinance problems. And I think that we would have a very stunning mural pilot program with the people that experienced muralists would be participating in. And I think you would be doing yourselves a great service, and us a great service in Venice, to include just the Venice area of CD 11. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much. Suzanne Thompson, Suzanne Thompson. After Suzanne Thompson is Theresa Marcus.
Thank you, Council Member Huizar and members of the Plum Committee. And thank you especially Tanner Blackman for all the work you've done to get us to this point. I've got 2 letters that I'd like to present for the record from the Venice Arts Council. And Emily said a lot of the points, but what she wasn't able to have time to say was that Councilmember Bonin is in support of Venice being a mural district pilot project, just taking it to the Venice Neighborhood Council. And unfortunately, they couldn't make it today. And the other letter is from SPARC, Social Public Art Resource Center as well. They also support this initiative. And I've also, the Venice Art Block and the Venice Art Music Crawl will also come on board to supporting this. So we expect, I don't know if we'll make it in 30 days back to the Neighborhood Council to get this through the Neighborhood Council. So I ask that you please include Venice, because Councilman Bonin will support that. Venice as a pilot project within the community plan, the geographic areas of which is talked about in the letter. Thank you.
Thank you. Theresa Marquez. After Theresa Marquez is Rosalie Garola.
Again, my name is Theresa Marcus, and I'm a property owner, born and raised in Boyle Heights. In regards to the mural, I have a lot of respect for the arts and murals that we have, but we have to look at the quantity and the respect for the quality of the murals. Right now, the few murals that we have are totally graffitied, and they can't keep up with the graffiti writing and destroying of the murals that we do have right now. And this is going to be like a marijuana ordinance, unable to have compliance on it. Are we going to have the police going door to door to find out if that mural has permits or not? We don't have that kind of money, and I think you need to think about that. In Boyle Heights, I would really not to be a pilot, because Mr. Huizar, you don't have community communication. We
Okay,
cannot
your time is
contact
up.
you.
Your time is up. Thank you. Rosalie Garola.
As a Boyle Heights homeowner and lifetime resident, the mural ordinance has been passed, so therefore we have to deal with it in a way that's appropriate and that deals with the issues. As previously stated, the current murals in Boyle Heights, the vast majority of them are graffitied. We have not heard anything from our councilman in District 14 as to what is the plan to deal with that. That is essential to show respect for murals and for the artists that have done the work. Also, there has been no contact with the community that live there to know whether they support the concept of murals on private homes. To not deal with the constituents that live there and to have a voice, whether they're a tenant or a resident or a homeowner, again, is missing the opportunity to connect with the residents that live there and really be their voice, as opposed to being a voice over them. Thank you.
Thank you. And the comment was made that the murals are mostly graffiti, and what's the council member going to do about that? Well, I beg to differ that those murals are mostly graffiti. The next speaker is Rita Govea Rodriguez. Rita Govea Rodriguez.
Rita Govea Rodriguez. It says here on single family residence murals. So I can put a mural on my house. On businesses, I can see something beautiful on a wall. Last night I passed by First and Fresno, the bar that used to be there. They just graffitied the whole building. It looks like a mural, but I don't think it is. I didn't have time to take a photo to bring to show. So I love murals, but I am against them on single family residence. Come on, not on my house, not on my neighbor's house. Are they going to get a permit? Do they have to submit the drawing and get it approved, or do they just put it up?
Thank you. Isabel Rojas Williams.
Hello, my name is Isabel Rojas Williams. I'm the Executive Director of the Mural Conservancy of Los Angeles, and I wanted to say thank you to all of you for passing the mural ordinance. And I would like to say thank you to Tanner Blackman for guiding us through this journey. We're grateful for that. And the Mural Conservancy of Los Angeles support an ordinance that would allow murals on single-family residences in districts which are historically known as places where mural history was born, such as 1, 14, 9, and Venice. And very quickly, I would like to tell the lady here that some of our best murals, which are not graffiti, and I love graffiti art, they were born at Strata Courts, where the Chicano history was written. So I would like to invite you, whenever you want to, for a mural tour at the Strata Courts, where our history was written. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So this is a note and file item. We will note and file the item, but we are requesting that the city attorney, with the assistance of the planning department and the Department of Cultural Affairs, to prepare and present an ordinance that allows murals on single-family residences in council districts 1, 14, and 9. And we will work with CD11, Councilmember Bonin's office, to see what and if they would like to be added to that. Okay? And this should come back to us. I'm not putting it in the motion, but we're expecting it within 15, 30 days or so. Okay? Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item, Councilman, is a report from the Cultural Heritage Commission. It's relative to the inclusion of the Shoppers Market on Avenue 45 to be included in the list of historic cultural monuments.
Great, thank you very much. Is someone here on staff here to present this item?
Yes, Council.
And before you begin, we have a number of speaker cards, quite a bit, but this is the last call. So if you do want to speak, we will take your card now. We will not take it anytime after this. Okay, so last call for cards on item number 8. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi. Good afternoon, Chairman Huizar and the committee members. My name is Nels Youngborg with the Office of Historic Resources in the Department of City Planning. The Cultural Heritage Commission recommendation before you today is to declare the Shoppers Market a historical cultural monument. This decision was based on the Commission finding that the property is of particular historic and cultural significance in that it embodies the distinguishing characteristics of an architectural type specimen, inherently valuable for study of a period of style or method of construction as a notable example of mid-century modern style supermarket property type. I am available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, unless there are any initial public comments, or Mr. Cedillo, it's your district, would you rather we go to public comment first, or would you like to make some comments first?
Yes, as I've said in the past, obviously we are here to make decisions, but I want to note that one thing that I've learned over the years as a negotiator and a union leader and legislator, etc., is you don't have to make a decision until it's time to make a decision. Anybody upset with that could take that up with Stephen Sample, president of USC, former president. And I think one of the things I want to do is it's important to hear from everybody, the entire community. And so it's a process, it's a deliberation, it's a methodology that's worked for me and all the parties that I've worked with. And so I want to bring in all the information, I want to bring in all the stakeholders, I want to bring in all the members of the community to hear from them. But until I do that, I'm not prepared to make a decision. I want to continue to talk to the principals. And so I know many of you have come from long places, taken time off, made the sometimes trek over here, and this is your time to be heard. And so I'm happy to hear from the community today, the entire community. But I also want to make clear that I'm not prepared to make a decision on this, and will ask my colleagues to defer as I continue to do research and investigation in this matter. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to hear the voice of the community.
Great.
Is there translation for this?
Translation for
Spanish-speaking audience?
Yes. Do we have no, we usually don't, unless we do it ahead of time. We don't have a translator here. Okay. So
Maybe you can help me.
What we will do is either Mr. Cedillo or I will do our best. But we both speak
Quiero
Spanglish.
decir que hoy no estoy bien preparado para hacer una decisión, y mi experiencia dice que no necesitan una decisión antes de su tiempo, y voy a esperar, voy a continuar mi investigación, pero quiero oír de toda la comunidad, todo el pueblo que están aquí, y voy a continuar a encontrar discusiones con los principales en esta situación. Quiero decir gracias a todos que vienen, porque aquí es su salón, aquí están yo soy su representante y estoy aquí para hacer una decisión, pero yo creo hoy no es la día, pero que hoy es la día para oír todo el interés de todos los participantes que están aquí hoy. Y bueno, en un tiempo muy pronto, más pronto posible, pero no un momento antes de eso, voy a hacer una decisión, y quiero que yo tenga el apoyo de mis colegas, porque este es mi distrito.
Great, thank you. So with that, let's begin, and just want to clear something up first. Mr. Delvac, are you here for item 8 or 9?
This item.
You're on for 8 for this item?
Yes.
Okay. And then, are you a representative? Because you're the property owner. Okay. And then we also have. And then we have Matt Kovacs. We also have Eli Bees and Ramon Galvez. What we usually do is the appellant gets 5 minutes, the owner can get 5 minutes. So of the owners and the representatives, who would want the 5 minutes? The others get 1 minute. Would you want to take the 5 minutes, or?
I believe in light of the appropriate remarks that the council member made, I'd like to make sure you hear from the owner and from my colleague Nicole Kuklock-Waldman. If I may, I might like a moment at the end.
Okay, so I'm going to give the owner Eli Bees, and you'll have 5 minutes, and the other speakers associated with the property have 1 minute.
Good afternoon.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Good afternoon, honorable
afternoon.
council members. My name is Nicole Kuklock-Waldman, and I'm here on behalf of the owner of the property, and I'm from Armbruster Goldsmith.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Nicole Kuklock-Waldman.
Did you fill it? You didn't fill out a card.
I did fill out a card.
Yeah.
I can resubmit if you need me to.
Okay. Okay. And we just want to make sure your card is here and for the record. And
Thank you.
You never know if we ever come back and look to see who appropriately spoke. We need the record straight. Okay. Sure.
Just to, for the record, there is a formal motion by Councilmember Cedillo regarding an extension of 15 days for this matter. It is in council tomorrow, and therefore, what is the last day for a council action that's listed on today's agenda, which is October 30th, will if council moves to approve the extension that is before them tomorrow, the new time limit date will be November 14th.
Okay, that motion may have been approved today in council. Is that?
Was
that
it?
is,
Oh,
yes,
it was
yeah.
approved. All right,
Okay.
then it will be November 14th.
Okay. And as I understood, Mr. Cedillo, who represents this area, that he wishes to listen to the public today, and we intend to, in light of that motion as well, to listen to the public and continue this item. That will be our motion at the end of this meeting. Okay. Thank you. So with that, we could begin.
Good afternoon, honorable council members. My name is Nicole Kuklock-Waldman of Armbruster Goldsmith and Delvac, and I'm here on behalf of the owner of the property, Joloffin Silbert, which is a family-owned business that's through a family, and we've got the owner here, Susan Levinstein, and she'll be happy to speak as well. I want to start out also by introducing the supporters of Superior Market. We have over 60 community members who came out from Highland Park. If everybody could stand up, please, we'd really appreciate it. They all trekked in on the Gold Line, and we really appreciate them coming out today. So thank you.
Thank you for trekking on the Gold Line.
I want to start out by talking a little bit about the building and the fact that the building is not an example of Googie architecture. The building is a mid-century building, and this is in dispute at the Cultural Heritage Commission. It was unclear in the application. The application claimed it was Googie. The city staff just came up and told us it was mid-century modern. And this is a really important distinction. Googie architecture is space-age architecture. It's architecture of curves, of cantilevers, of change of space, of the atomic age. It defies gravity. This architecture does not defy gravity. I have a drawing here of the building. This is actually a photograph of the building. It has some drawing on it, but it has a hexagonal line. Usually, Googie, when it uses angles, uses acute angles. It doesn't use necessarily hexagonal shapes. It's known for space age. The LAX building, the LAX theme building, the Lautner, That is Googie architecture. Johnny's Coffee Shop, that is Googie architecture. The 76 on Little Santa Monica Boulevard in Beverly Hills, that is Googie architecture. This is not Googie architecture, it's mid-century modern. And the integrity of this mid-century modern is really, really damaged. Over time, this building has been modified significantly. And grocery markets don't have a lot of character-defining features to begin with. So when you start removing those features, you lose a lot of the building really quickly. For example, this building, anything in red has been removed or changed over time. Very little of the original integrity of the building is still standing, and the transparency of the building, which is very, very important in mid-century architecture, is totally gone. The inside is completely renovated. And I think it's important to know that there's no agreement on what the building is, and there's no agreement on the integrity of the building. We also need to look at other markets from this era, and this is really important too. The application states that this is a dwindling property type, that there are very few mid-century markets, no Googie markets, therefore we need to save this. I have several examples of markets that haven't even been surveyed yet in Survey LA. I've got the Vicente Foods, which is considered the mid-century market in Los Angeles and Brentwood, actually by the same architect as this market. This is considered the masterpiece of Los Angeles markets. We've got it's now the Fresh and Easy on Van Owen and Sepulveda and Van Nuys, has not been evaluated under Survey LA. We've got the Ralph's, which was a Hughes on the corner of Coldwater and it's on Coldwater and Ventura. Again, it has not been surveyed. I'm sorry, that one has been surveyed. And another that has been surveyed is the Safeway on PCH and Sunset, and it also is a good example. So I'd like to turn this over to Eli Beast from Superior Market, who's going to tell you a little bit about his work at the market and his experience in Highland Park. Thank you very much.
Did you submit a public comment card? Yeah, if you submit a public comment card, we'll call you up at some point. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eli Bias, and I'm a construction manager for Superior Grocers. And I grew up in the area, Highland Park, and I've went through here for 40 years. And I've seen the transformation from the Lucky's to Superior. And back when Superior came in 2006, we welcomed Superior. Lucky was there, Albertsons was there, they all closed down. We have worked with the community on different designs for the exterior. When we had learned the community did not like our standard exterior, there was a store that was hoping to implement at Highland Park. We actually went back in the drawing board, working with the architects, designed a store that would reflect the architectural character of Highland Park. I have talked to family and neighbors, and others in Highland Park, and they agree that the new design would be better fit the neighborhood. I'm excited to be part with the company that has taken and would remodel the exterior and working to make a nice store for the neighborhood.
Thank you. If you could just wrap it up.
Also, I have a letter here that we received from planning that we did get the approval going through the whole process from the HPOZ.
Okay.
If you want to...
Oh, great. Thank you. So now we hear from the applicant, Charles Fisher.
Good afternoon, Charlie Fisher. I'm representing the Highland Park Heritage Trust, the applicant here. I also happen to serve on the Historic Preservation Overlay Zone. I'm going to start off commenting about this letter that was just mentioned. This letter was a ministerial sign-off based on the fact that the building was listed as a non-contributor to the HPOZ because of its age only. The reason we actually went to the council and asked Councilman Reyes to bring this to council was because of this sign-off. The HPOZ board never approved it. The HPOZ board has met on this issue 4 times over the last 15 years, and each time we have urged them to maintain the historic integrity of this building. I do also want to mention about the The people that are here today, I don't know if they're really familiar with the history of this building. I am. I actually grew up in the area. I saw this building being built when I was 6 years old, so it's not a new building for me. This building is a beloved building with many people. We didn't think to ask a bunch of people to come down today, or we would have not had enough room in this room to cover all the people that would have been here had we done that. I want to bring up that when we nominated this building, it was because Superior said we're changing it. And we have been very adamant that this is a historic building. It is an example of mid-century modern, happens to be subset Googie style. Now, it was mentioned here that the Googie style was space age. When this building was first being put in the newspapers that it was being built, it was specifically called space age in the Los Angeles Times. Why? Because it is a Googie style building. There are many variations on Googie. Alan Hess, who's here with me, who's the expert, will talk about that part of it. As far as the procedure, we have tried to reach out to Superior on this. They would not listen. They came to the meeting of the Historic Highland Park Neighborhood Council Land Use Committee and were told by that committee that they didn't think it was a good idea to remodel the market. I would hope that the people who have signed the petition, and we've had a petition out that's online. It's also another one that's been a manual petition. Between the two, we have about 1,000 signatures. We have been supporting this designation. We held off on it for a long time because we basically had like a gentleman's agreement that the building would not be monkeyed with on the exterior. As far as the interior goes, this building has been changed. We don't have a problem with any remodeling of the interior of that building. Also, there was a discussion about a signboard that is on the front of that building. When we found an original rendering of that building, we discovered that signboard, and I thought it was added by Lucky's in 1965. It actually was an original part of that building. So this building has really had very little change on it over the years. And I haven't looked at her picture, but I know what this building's had as far as changes, and it's extremely minor. A few lighting fixtures changed, a few things like that, but it retains its integrity, and it is a very rare example. The buildings that were brought up to you are very different. There are many different denominations of Googie, and at this point I'm going to ask Alan Hess to come in and discuss that.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Alan Hess. I am an architect and architectural historian. I've written 19 books, most on California's 20th century modern history. I've written 2 books on Googie architecture, and which are considered the textbooks for the style. I would like to contradict everything that was said previously by the former lawyer about it not being Googie. It is Googie. There are examples in my books of every aspect of this building, the zigzag roofline, the glass front, the large sign, which are part of Googie. So I just want to make that clear. I'd also like to make it clear that this is a rare style. These buildings were throughout Los Angeles in the 1950s and 60s. Why? Because they brought a sense of a modern life to the average person as they went about their daily life getting their groceries. That is what Googie architecture is, related to the automobile life of Californians in that period of time. When my first book came out in 1985, there were about 11 that I counted of these remaining. Today, I count 3 in the city of Los Angeles. I do think that it is good to invest in this building and this neighborhood. I admire that. But I would say that it is better for the city that they restore an authentic piece of Los Angeles history rather than build an imitation of anything else. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ramon Galvez Arango. After Ramon Galvez Arango is Regina O'Brien. 1 minute.
Buenas tardes and good afternoon, honorable council members. My name is Ramon Galvez Arango. I'm an architect. I represent MCG Architecture. We are Superior Markets Architect. We have been working on a proposed exterior remodel of the Superior Market in Highland Park Superior came to us and asked us to work with the community and the city and design a market that reflects the history of the area that fits the community. We developed a proposed revival craftsman or craftsman revival design after meeting with community members, the HPOZ board, and the planning department. We want the store to reflect the community, as also including the features that high-end markets have, such as Whole Foods, in this design. The design that we propose is sympathetic to the surrounding historic area and is intended to enhance the historic nature of the area. We're proud of the design. We think the community will be proud to shop in the remodeled facility. This neighborhood, speaking a little bit about the history, actually, since my time is up, I thank you for your consideration.
Great, thank you. Regina O'Brien, after that is Matt Kovacs.
Good afternoon. I'm Regina O'Brien. I'm the chairperson of the Modern Committee of the Los Angeles Conservancy, and I'm here to speak in support of the nomination for Shoppers Market as a very authentic piece of Googie architecture in an area where very little modernism exists. I know because I lived for the last 7 years in Lincoln Heights, and the neighborhood does have a changing demographic, and I completely understand the desire to update the market and make it more user-friendly, but I do not see why that has to be done at the sacrifice of a very nice piece of architecture, and I wish that there could be an understanding that whatever, again, we have no objection to any remodeling, exterior remodeling, and would really welcome a beautiful restored building. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt Kovacs, and then Paul Eveleth.
Hello, honorable council members. My name is Matthew Kovacs. I am the sales director of Superior and Highland Park. I have worked hard since I've managed the store to make sure that we are a good member of the community. Many of our employees live locally and shop at Superior. We also participate in a number of community events and benefits such as health fairs we hosted as of last weekend. With more shoppers come more community benefits, more jobs, and more for our community. Please oppose the designation. Allow me to continue to do everything I can to make Superior the great store that it is. And I have to ask all of you, we have a room full of people here today, and does Googie pay the bills? We have people that have been unemployed, and you'll hear some of their life stories, that with growth comes change. And I think we all have an obligation here as council members to take what these people have to say today to heart.
Your time is up, sir.
Okay,
thank you.
I thank you all for listening.
Paul Eveleth, and then Susan Levinstein.
Good afternoon, Council Member Huizar and committee members. My name is Paul Eveleth. I live at 638 Crane Boulevard in Council District 1. Thank you for the time of being here and considering this nomination. I represent the Mount Washington Homeowners Alliance. I am a board member of that group, and I'm here on behalf of our president, Daniel Marlos, and I've submitted a letter on his behalf. We are proud of the fact that we have a grocery store that is not only beautiful, unique, original, modern, it's mid-century, and according to the LA Conservancy, author Alan Hess, the Highland Park Heritage Trust, and many others, it is a Googie-style grocery store. Even if it wasn't, we are proud of the fact that it is in our neighborhood. Can it use a refresh? Of course it can. Many properties along Figueroa and many parts of the city of Los Angeles can use a refresh. But why does a refresh have to be an architectural change? It does not make sense. In today's world, when you see mid-century architecture in films, TV ads, print ads, car brochures, Honda filmed a car commercial there last year, showed the grocery store. It just doesn't make sense. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Susan Levinstein, Yancy Quinones.
Thank you, council members. My name is Susan Levinstein. I represent the owners of the property. My father built the Shoppers Market in 1960. My sister and I still own it. We both grew up in Los Angeles. We've lived there all of our lives. The Shoppers Market was the first tenant. After that, it was Lucky Stores, and then it was Albertsons. And then from 2005, it became vacant because Albertsons tried to remodel on 2 separate occasions and were stopped from their remodel plans. They could not use the building in its current configuration. We were worried when it became vacant that we would have to try to subdivide the property. We are not professional developers, neither was my father, and we did not have the money to do it. We were so happy when Superior came and said that they would put a market in the site and that it would be a market that caters to the community. Superior has been a good tenant. They've supported the community. They've brought in community affairs. Thank you very much. Please don't take the market away from us.
Thank you. Yancy Quiñones, Luis Zamora. Yancy.
I brought all these, hey, how are you, Jose? I brought all these people, but we thought we were going to go to the Dodger game, but here we go. We're in the World Series, but we'll be there next year. So I'm Yancy Quiñones. I'm the owner of Antigua Coffee House in Cypress Park.
You left us from El Sereno.
Yeah, we started off in El Sereno, you're right, and then we left to Cypress Park. So now we're with Gil. But what I have here...
Can you can you give him his minute, please? I've been... Thank you.
So what I have here is actual signatures. We got over 2,800 signatures here in support for the changes. So I actually bought them. I didn't just say that. I assumed somebody signed something. So, but I know the history of Cypress Park. I know the history of Shoppers Market. I don't know why they call it Shoppers Market because it's called Superior Market. And my family's been in Cypress Park for 44 years. So my parents used to shop there with blue chips. And I gotta say something. We have a very successful business in our neighborhood, and I want all that stuff to continue. And the fact that we're able to change something for progress, kind of like what we've done in our community, we've been able to change for progress, and supporting the changes to Superior and not giving it the nomination for historic preservation is actually a positive thing for our community. We finally had the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Luis Zamora, Hugo Mora.
I know you.
Hey,
buddy, how you doing? Good. I just wanted to say I'm a customer to Superior Market. I've been living in Highland Park for 2 years in a boarding care. I'm right next door, so I want to say that Superior Market's a great market, and I don't want it to be shut down because I love shopping there, and I can save. I always buy my sodas there, my chips, and they love my stuffed animals. So the only friends I've got, and I love everybody that in the community. My friends that I live with, and people that work in the community. Everybody's so friendly, and maybe you guys to come look at our boarding care because we have a beautiful home and they take good care of us there. And I just want to say thank you, and please don't close the Superior Market down. Keep it open forever. Thank you.
Thank you. Hugo Mora, Carlos Gabaldon.
Good afternoon, Councilman and your esteemed colleagues. I am the Assistant Sales Director at Superior Market. I am born and raised in Northeast Los Angeles, and just to say a few words, I believe the remodel is going to help the community. We're looking at increasing volume of the store with the remodel. As my manager said, that's going to create jobs for the community. We do employ a lot of people who live in the community. As myself, I've been with Superior for a number of years now, and I was given an opportunity to start at the bottom, and I've reached where I'm at now, hoping to get to the next level. And Superior's been very positive, and I think that with the remodel, you'll see your constituency with a happy place to shop. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Carlos Gabaldon, Lourdes Reyes.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Carlos Gabaldon.
I'm not only a Superior employee, but I'm also a lifelong resident of the Northeast community. Superior Grocers has been helpful to me by employing me and supporting me in my further education. They've been my bridge to becoming an alcohol and drug therapist and a positive community activist. I believe that remodeling our building would be a great asset to our community, not only in beautifying it, but opening up opportunities for other people in the community to get jobs, employed, and change their lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Lourdes Reyes, Omar Silva.
Buenas tardes, concejales. Mi nombre es Lourdes Reyes, secretaria de Anáhuac.
Good afternoon. My name is Lourdes Reyes, Secretary of Anáhuac.
Y vengo para que estamos a favor de que remodelen la tienda superior.
And we're here to ask that they remodel Superior stores.
Por la razón de que pues allí vamos a comprar todas las legumbres, las frutas frescas y vemos también las caras alegres de los empleados y no queremos que nos quiten esa tienda.
We go there, we buy our fresh food and other things, we see the happy faces, and we don't want them to take away our store.
Y la necesitamos, por favor. Gracias.
We need the store, thank you. We get an extra 50 cents in my next paycheck for that. Omar Silva.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Omar Silva, and I'm here just to let you know that to me it's very important to keep that Superior Market open. Like my fellow friends said, it opened job opportunities to our community, and it's a kind of human kindness for our people, especially in these times, that especially our families are, going to this crisis. And that's all. That's all I'm asking. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lázaro Aguero, and then Raúl Macías.
Good afternoon, council members. I wonder why when somebody wants to bring improvement to our Latino community, there is always somebody that want to stop that. Why don't we follow the example of other cities, neighbor cities, like Lendl? They fix it, they improve all the markets, the small businesses, everything. We as Latinos, we are second-class persons. What's wrong with that? We want a better market, a good-looking market to go to shop. Even though if we're going to go to shop and cook at home, we want a good-looking market. It's going to bring beautification to the community. I am totally support the remodelation inside and outside of the Superior Market. And please, don't let any project that goes to the Latino community to be stopped by nobody. We deserve better, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Raúl Macías, and then Ivan Roman.
Good afternoon, councilmen. My name is Raúl Macías. I'm president and founder of Anáhuac Youth Sport Association. We are working with the community for almost 18 years. And the last years, Superior Market was one of the best supplies for fruit, water, and many things. And we support the change they're gonna do it because this is more nice to see them and the service they're gonna offer in the community. Then we support 100% what they're planning to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Ivan Roman. Paco Serrano. Ivan, are you here? No? Paco Serrano? No? I have a blank card. There was no name. It just says shopper. So whoever filled that out, you need to put a name. Did anybody just do a card that says shopper? No? Okay. Gustavo Miranda. Not here. Aaron Buckley. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Gustavo Miranda.
Okay.
And I live in Highland Park for like 5 years. I've been working for Superior. And before I used to be a gang member, but now, I assume I got a job in Superior for like 5 years. I've been working for Superior. I met my girl. Now I got a family already, so we support Superior, And then I got to give me a 50-cent raise next checks. They got to give me $2 raise.
Thank you. Aaron Buckley, Jeremy Goulder.
Hello, council members. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm a grateful homeowner in Highland Park. I live across the street from Superior Market, and I also am a shopper at Superior. One of the reasons that I moved to Highland Park was because of the historic preservation overlay zone and the history, and I am in support of the renovation. I think the neo-craftsman style makes more sense than the Googie style, and I just urge you to discuss this matter with people who actually shop and live directly in the neighborhood. Another thing I love about Highland Park is all the opportunity going on for people who've lived there for a long time and new people who are coming in, and the juxtaposition of those two groups. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Jeremy Goulder and Steve Crouch.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Jeremy Goulder. I'm a resident of Southern Highland Park and an entrepreneur. I don't have a background in architecture or design. What I want to share is just my experience as a new resident of Highland Park. Every day I walk my dog through the neighborhood, and every day I constantly see people having a tremendous amount of pride in where they live. They're taking care of their homes, they're taking care of their yards, sweeping up their driveway, sweeping up the sidewalk in front of their street or in front of their home, their neighbor's home. There's a lot of pride of ownership of the community, and I love that about Highland Park. And to see a corporate stakeholder such as Superior take an interest in echoing that same feeling that the residents have, it's really amazing, and I really support their efforts, and I'm in support of the renovation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Steve Crouch.
Yeah, hi. Steve Crouch. I'm a lifelong Highland Park resident, and I was on the neighborhood council, and I'm currently on the land use committee of the neighborhood council. Googie style was invented in Los Angeles. This is the heartland, and it came all over the world, and I think we should recognize that. The other thing is, I really think Superior's business model is deeply flawed because they're trying to they want to sort of be like model it after Whole Foods. Now, the people, face it, the area is getting gentrified. The people who are moving in, they want authenticity. They don't want fake. Fake is for Santa Clarita. Fake is for Palmdale. People want the real thing. They don't want a replica, basically. So Superior is reaching out to if they want to be similar to Whole Foods, they're reaching out to a demographic who's not too happy, basically. I know a lot of people who, I go there, but I won't go there. I know lots of people who won't be going to Superior. So thank you.
Thank you. Marie Long and Adrian Scott Fine.
Good afternoon. I'm Marie Leon. I live in Mount Washington, 2 blocks from Superior Market. I have shopped there since it was Shoppers, Lucky's, Albertsons, and now Superior. And first of all, I hear people saying that the market might be closed. I haven't heard a thing about that. I love having a market that I can walk to. I do not like to see the back of the market, though, when I walk down there. It's full of weeds in the back, razor sharp wire, weeds growing. They have not planted any trees, which I think they should do. I think instead of spending money on redesigning this market, which is the Googie style, which my daughter even says is, because she's an architect, I feel they should spend money by cleaning up the front entrance, taking down that awning that they put up, and removing those unsightly stacks of merchandise that they have sitting out in front. Especially anyway, I think that would be a much better money well spent. And we cannot allow the destruction of architectural styles of the past. We need to preserve this Gookie style on the Superior Market. Thank goodness the theaters on Broadway downtown have been preserved, as many craftsman houses and historic buildings in Highland Park, all around Los Angeles. I therefore urge you to support the designation of Shoppers Market, now Superior Market, as a historic cultural monument because of its rare Googie-style architects. And do not close it if it is not changed. Thank you.
Thank you. Adrian Scott Fine, and finally to end this is Bill Delvec.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm Adrian Scott Fine with the Los Angeles Conservancy. We're here in support of the nomination. Intact historic groceries and supermarkets are now exceedingly rare. Today, only a handful of such buildings remain in Los Angeles that haven't been altered beyond recognition or demolition. Fortunately, Superior has survived intact without major alterations, and we do believe it is a really good example of Googie-style architecture, mid-century modern, something that the city's Cultural Heritage Commission also concurs with. It also was a very big deal when this store opened in Highland Park in 1960 for the neighborhood. It was important to have a modern facility like this, of this caliber. And while not every old supermarket or grocery should be saved or deemed historic, we believe this one does. It rises to that level. We also believe there's a win-win opportunity here to bring all parties together. The HCM nomination does not have to preclude opportunities here. It offers a lot of flexibility, especially for the interior remodeling, and it should not limit the store's operations, desired improvements, or continued operation. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Delvec.
Honorable Council Members, Bill Delvec, thank you for your extraordinary attention. I want to say three things in the short time. I want to talk about the building, the process, and the future. It was the city staff that said it was not Googie. We didn't say that. They said it was mid-century modern. For something to be a good example, it would seem that all the experts should agree on what something is. But more fundamentally, the building today is not the building as it was built. There have been changes, and these have been documented in the materials we've submitted. The process. Mr. Fisher held up the piece of paper that gave Superior the right to do the remodel. This building has been evaluated as part of the HPOZ, part of the community plan update, skipped over by the survey. Superior had a piece of paper that was an approval by the city. Should have meant something. The future. Mr. Fine just told you that when it was built, it was a modern market for the community. That's exactly what Superior wants to have today. A modern market for this community today. In the very near future, transit-oriented development on the site is also going to be key. We urge you to listen to the overwhelming number of community members here in favor of the market. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go on and turn it over to Mr. Cedillo, I want to give a congratulations to York Boulevard, where this store is located. It was selected as... I know you have a lot of great streets, Mr. Englander, in your district, but Mr. Cedillo and I border York Boulevard. It was selected as one of the coolest streets in the city of LA by Condé Nast Traveler magazine. Thank you. Mr. Cedillo.
No, I just want to thank all of you for coming today and bringing your testimonies forward. I'm impressed by the testimony. I've taken notes. I will continue my research, and we will have a resolution to this matter within a short period of time. I thank you.
Sorry, what was that? Did you want to?
Yeah, we'll continue.
Continue it? Okay. Yeah.
So please move to...
We'll continue this. Now, we passed that motion today, and so are we going to get a date today, date certain, or do we just hold it here until... Yeah, we could ask that, yeah.
Okay, so with the adoption of the motion to extend the deadline for time limit, 15 days, the The new deadline is November 14th, so if the committee chooses to continue this to November 5th, then this could be in council November 6th.
Okay, we'll take that guideline. Okay. Thank you. And does that satisfy public comment, or do we open public comment again, Mr. City Attorney?
That should satisfy it unless there are changes to the item.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So with that, we'll continue this item as stated by our clerk. Okay, thank you very much. Next item.
Next item is item 9, which is an appeal by George and John Soluk. It's from the decision of the Planning Commission relative to land use entitlements for a mixed-use commercial building in CD 13. Planning is present.
Hold on 1 second until we help clear the room a little bit. And if those exiting, if we could just keep your voices down or wait to refrain from speaking until you get out. The noise really carries in this room, so. Thank you. We could go ahead. Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Blake Lamb. I'm with the Planning Department. And before you today is an appeal by the decision of the City Planning Commission, which they made at their May 23rd meeting. The project is the construction of 2 buildings on 2 separate blocks at the intersection of Highland Avenue and Selma Avenue in Hollywood, 2 blocks south of Hollywood Boulevard. The project contains a total of 248 residential units, approximately 13,000 square feet of ground floor retail uses. The buildings themselves are approximately 6 stories and 80 feet in height. The entitlements that were approved by the City Planning Commission included a site plan review and a zone variance for reduced parking. The reason that this case went before the City Planning Commission is because the project site is located within one of Hollywood's FAR incentive areas. The base FAR for the site is a 3-to-1 FAR, but because it's located within the incentive area, with City Planning Commission approval, the project is allowed to go up to an FAR of 6-to-1. So this case was not a zone change or some other legislative approval, but it was simply a site plan review with a zone change, with a zone variance, with the City Planning Commission decision final unless appealed. The case has been appealed, therefore it's before you today. This particular project utilized the FAR incentive in order to develop one of their buildings, Building A, at an FAR of 3.6-to-1, which required Planning Commission approval. Parking variances were also approved for this project. The project is required by code to provide 584 parking spaces, but was approved to provide 538 parking spaces for the new residential and retail uses, which is a reduction of 46 parking spaces. The Planning Commission decision appeal was appealed by an adjacent property owner who has made the following arguments: that the parking variance was improperly granted, that the FAR incentive was not properly analyzed, that the landscape buffer provided is not adequate, and that the mitigation measures relating to fire and life safety and seismic issues are insufficient. Let me start out by saying that the appellant has been involved in this case even prior to the public hearing. He has raised these issues at the hearing, which were then discussed in the staff report. The City Planning Commission reviewed the staff report and then provided the appellant an opportunity to bring up these issues at their meeting, which he did do. At that meeting, the Planning Commission listened to the appellant's concerns, and their decision was based on all of the facts of the case, including all of the public testimony that was made. So as far as the parking goes, again, the appellant has argued that the parking variance was improperly granted. However, the City Planning Commission did properly grant the variance for the reduction of 46 parking spaces. The Planning Commission made all of the variance findings that were required for them to make per the code. Portions of the site are currently utilized as surface parking lots. One of the major hardships that this development faces is that 189 parking spaces are currently covenanted to adjacent uses. These covenants were executed back in the 90s under previous ownership. When current ownership purchased the sites, the covenants ran with the property. The Planning Commission found that these covenants encumber the project site, impeding its development, and this was one of the factors that led to their granting of the variance. Other factors included included proximity to the metro station and the goals and policies of the Hollywood Community Plan. The Planning Commission felt that providing the required parking covenants would continue to serve the larger community's parking needs, and that this provision created a hardship, was a special circumstance, and will not be detrimental to the public welfare. The second point that the appellant makes is that the proposed floor area was not properly analyzed in the environmental review. The mitigated negative declaration prepared for the project did evaluate traffic impacts and determined that there would be a less than significant impact on traffic as a result of the project's construction. There are three other issues relating to the landscape buffer and fire and seismic mitigation measures, which my colleague Debbie Lawrence will be discussing.
Good afternoon, Debbie Lawrence, Planning Department. Several points in the appellant's letter address issues related to the wall and the setback along the subject property and the line adjacent to the appellant's property at 6753 Selma. The appellant also raised these issues at a public hearing in March of this year and at the City Planning Commission meeting in May. The points in the letter focus on the height of the building wall and the 1-foot width ground level landscape buffer along this property line. And the appellant notes that the previous structure had an average setback of nearly 7 feet and that the proposed 1-foot setback violates the city's regulations. And I had some photos passed out so that you could see this illustrated. The first page actually shows the building that he refers to. It has an X marked through it because it has been demolished. The project site and appellant property are both zoned C4, and there are no side yard requirements in C4 for commercial uses. And for residential uses, the yard requirements are the same as for the R4 zone. So at the lowest residential story, a 3-foot minimum plus 1 foot for each story over the second, not to exceed 16 feet. However, this is a mixed-use project, and the setbacks have been provided in accordance with Code Section 12.22A18, which states that for no yard requirements shall apply to the residential portions of buildings that are located on lots in the C4 zones for combined commercial and residential uses. But based on the appellant's comments and concerns heard by Commission at their meeting on May 23rd, staff was directed to add a condition and modify an existing condition, and these included moving the property line back 12 inches and extending the buffer from 50% of the length of the building along the edge of the property line to 100% of the length of this area in order to accommodate the landscaping. And this landscaping would be at the top of the 20-foot courtyard setback 18 feet. And the 1 foot was provided to allow for the maintenance of the landscaping, which would be a vine that comes down over the wall. So the project also was found to be in substantial conformance with the Hollywood Urban Design Guidelines and was reviewed by the Planning Department's Professional Volunteer Program. And there were concerns regarding blank facades and an overall large block massing on the south elevation, but based on this, the design was revised to include additional architectural treatment, setbacks, or other elements that could enhance this blank facade and break up the massing of the building. The other points that were raised had to do with with fire safety and seismic issues, but both of these were addressed as mitigation measures in the environmental analysis in the mitigated negative declaration. So that summarizes the appeal points from the appellant. Thank you.
Okay, so the owner, the applicant, the owner filled out, there's two owners, right? Okay. And there is, who's the appellant? Do we have cards for the appellant? Okay, so that's the appellant there, right? Okay. Okay, so we have two appellants. Okay, here we go.
Be two
Okay.
owners, same property.
So yeah, okay. So if you could, you have 5 minutes, both of you.
No, I'm basically going to give my time over to George because we have a lot of stuff that we want to cover.
Okay,
So my
you got
time
5
is
minutes in total.
5 and 5 because we're both owners, so he has 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, you got 5 in total, or he could speak and then You could speak for 1 minute.
Well, I'll give him all my time, but he should
Okay.
have 6 or 7 minutes. Because basically we haven't been given the opportunity. They seem to give the impression that all this stuff was, we had discussions with the council, we didn't.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is George Solik. I'm one of the owners of this property that's adjacent to this project. And the items brought forward by the planning office, I've been trying for 18 months to get specific answers. Apparently there are meetings that go on that we're not invited to as somebody upon which this is impacting. All right, I've passed out some photos. Oh, not yet. Pardon me. Sorry. Here's more photos. These are our black and whites. You actually have one color that gives a slightly better view of the situation here. All right, let me go through this quickly because I don't have a lot of time here. Okay, my biggest beef with this whole problem here is that the reduction in allowed parking is actually sort of strange because other developments in the area have a ratio of parking requirement residential to to parking slots. I mean, the Millennium Project has almost a ratio of 4 to 1. This project here, which is adjacent to us, is just barely breaking 2.1. Very odd. Why is this non-uniform here? The assumption that mass transit makes a big impact. I've been here 30 years, and the mass transit through Hollywood has been in place roughly about 10 years. Okay? I've seen traffic demands for parking, what have you, go up consistently. It hasn't gotten better, guys. You know that if you've looked at this beforehand. I got to ask the question, this reduction in about 50 spaces, where is it going to go? We can't even find parking on a regular basis during a business day in this area. You're telling me that 50 parking spaces that are going to be required for this are just magically going to appear somewhere? It doesn't happen. Okay? In addition to that, where's the guest parking going to go? This project currently has, I think, 4 per unit. Where's that? That's not even enough for a project this size. The other interesting thing is, in the original report, as a result of the May 23rd meeting, the preliminary report I got, I raised a big complaint about the fact that the report, nobody's read it and looked for consistency. There was a finding on page 13 of the preliminary report that said that required parking should be away from the primary street. Well, the only way that can happen is by putting in off-street parking. All of a sudden, that's been dropped from the report because that conflicts with the desired goal here, which is to get this thing through. I want this guy to get through, but I want him to provide adequate parking. I don't want him to negatively impact me in that environment. Okay, the other problem here that hasn't even been discussed, and I don't even know why we're here, deals with this lane. There was a meeting this morning about the vacant space above it in the front or the south end of this alleyway fire lane. And the requirement in the finding of the report says this has to go to 20 feet. Well, clearly nobody's looked at the actual physical obstacles in this lane. This lane cannot be widened to 20 feet. It won't meet the minimum requirement that the city normally requires. Now, that's because the developer no longer owns one of the buildings that would have to be torn down or modified extensively in order for the lane to be widened to 20 feet. That can't happen at the north end. Even if the southern portion of the lane were to be widened up to the obstacle, we'd have a problem in that the requirement in the fire requirements is that this be open to the air. Well, they're going to have a bridge at the southern end, so that makes that difficult. Furthermore, with a building this size, isn't a hook and ladder supposed to be accessible to this property? That requirement is 28 feet. That's impossible to do in this alley. So how did we get here? How did this get past to this point? This is a serious problem. I've been talking about fire issues on my property, and there's a big issue right here in this project development. And we're here 18 months later. Nobody talks to us. They take our letters, they make corrections, and they issue new stuff. There's something wrong. Now then, the other thing is the setbacks. The setback has been talking about, they make reference to the 1222A18C3 section. That's made in the report. That talks about a yard. Okay, it doesn't talk about setbacks. It's very silent on that. This whole project has an elevated yard 18 feet above the ground. That's at our property eve. Okay, if you look at the pictures, that's where it is. I'm sorry, I got a few minutes. There's a lot of issues.
Well, your time is up, sir.
Huh?
Yeah, you have 5 minutes. And your
Okay,
time is
I
up.
understand. But these are questions that haven't been, you guys have to ask these guys why these haven't been answered. You are the stewards here in charge of this. That's your job.
Okay.
I haven't been able to get answers.
Thank you, sir. And were you George or John?
I'm George.
You're George. Okay.
Okay?
Now, John, no, we can't. We don't defer time. We don't do that. You have a minute to speak if you like, or if you want to pass that up. It's up to you. And as you come up, the rules that we've set for this committee is that the applicant and/or appellant or the opposing side each have 5 minutes. You could choose what speaker that is. Everyone else gets 1 minute. So if you have 1 minute, sir, to speak.
Well, I got, too many issues to bring up. One of them, I'm going to bring up is a seismic
Can you
issue.
speak into the microphone, please?
One of them is going to be a seismic issue that I want to bring up because it has to do with the height of this structure. In case you guys didn't know, but a couple of days ago they were on the news, and even Caltech was saying that they were concerned that within the next decade or two there was 99.9% chance of a mega quake that was going to happen. And one of the reasons why we're concerned about this whole offset scenario is that if you have any type of a quake or something happen, and you have this massive wall with junk next to it, right next to us, of course we're concerned about the fact that a large quake is going to have serious impact on our structure. We run a business there. We're concerned about the various economic aspects this is going to have on our business also. During the whole construction aspect, we're concerned about all the noise and the vibration because we have a variety of different things that are done in this structure that's going to affect our business, and we haven't had the proper feedback with regards to those matters.
Your time is up, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I want you to pay attention to that seismic thing I brought up because they're concerned about downtown, all of your structures too. And you can talk to Caltech about it. It was on the news.
Okay, your time
And
is up, sir.
these structures will collapse.
Thank
and
you.
They're concerned about tall structures.
You are George Abrams. I was going to go to the. You wish to speak now? That's fine. Go ahead, George Abrams, and then I'll go to the.
Okay, designation of this project in the initial study, environmental impacts, 16 A and B, conflict with policy establishing procedures of effectiveness for the performance of the circulation system, taking into account all modes of transportation, including freeways, and conflict with an applicable congestion management program, including but not limited to levels of service standards, or less than significant impact was an error. Caltrans said currently the level of service of US 101 is operating at LOS F. Any additional trips will worsen existing freeway conditions. The traffic impact study did not include a cumulative traffic analysis for the 101, which would consider traps generated from the 58 related projects, this is one, that are referred to in the DIR, the proposed NBC Universal Project, and growth from the Hollywood Community Plan. The TIS prepared for the plan, and 205 determined that build-out of the plan would result in significant transportation impacts to the US 101.
Thank you.
Well, no one's getting enough time. You know, we're suing on the Millennium case. This is a quasi-judicial body, and people fill out speaker cards, and you have to hear this.
Yes,
we're suing you on this.
Okay.
So I think you should give these people more time, and we should be able to get the issue before you.
Thank you, sir. Those are the rules that we have that we set forth.
Okay, well, the government code
this
said
is not
you have to set rules, and you never did. That's
Okay.
part of the problem.
Thank you. And just, City Attorney, can you clarify?
Yes, we have to, this commission has to give equal time to all speakers and has to enforce those rules equally, and that's what they're trying to do.
And when I became chair of the committee, the rule was set forth arbitrarily, of course. I mean, not arbitrarily, but it's a rule that we've been consistent in every meeting, that the applicants, the opposing, or vice versa, have 5 minutes, and then all the other speakers have 1 minute. Sometimes we allow 2 minutes at that one particular meeting to opposing sides, but when we have a lot of cards, we have a lot on the agenda, it's 1 minute per public speaker. On this side, we have the same issue. Jerry Newman, Kendra Casper, you have 5 minutes. You could do, somebody could take the 5 minutes and somebody could take the 1 minute. So if you could let me know who's going to do what.
Thank you, Councilmember. My name is Jerry Newman, representing Champion Realty. I will be taking the 5 minutes to the extent that it's necessary. Kendra Casper will be taking the 1 minute.
Okay.
We appreciate your time today. On behalf of Champion Realty, we have been working on this project for about 3.5 years, and before that had been working on the project in its previous iterations with other applicants. The reality is this project sits at a hub of transportation and innovation in Hollywood. It is adjacent to an institution known as Musicians Institute, as well as a lot of the backlot, if you will, Hollywood service industry providers like Panavision. Originally, this lot is assembled maintained a parking lot for the Panavision use as well as for the Musicians Institute use, which is why the covenanted parking was there to begin with. When the city incentivized those two entities to come into Hollywood in order to promote Hollywood uses as well as institutional uses, they had requested that the adjacent property owners provide parking. Thereby, the covenants were put in place in order to maintain the uses of those buildings. Champion Realty separated those uses out and sold those buildings to Musicians Institute as well as to Panavision, but maintained the parking covenants. So at the end of the day, the reality of the site is that they are building more parking than would otherwise be required. The covenanted spaces are for the uses of the Panavision building as well as for Musicians Institute, but in historically, all of those spaces have never actually been occupied, and so we anticipate that there would be a number of spaces that could be available on an as-need basis to accommodate the parking. Additionally, if the appellant is correct that we are parked residentially at about 2.1 spaces per unit. Historically, across the city, we all parked in residential units, mostly multifamily rental units. We park at about a ratio of 1.75 per unit. So in that regard, we are parking at what is the historic average in the city of Los Angeles. The difference being that because of the nature of the number of units and our desire to both accommodate families as well as student use by Musicians Institute, we have provided higher bedroom volume units. But when you do that, you count in the code the number of bedrooms, which then is up the number of parking spaces that are required. But if you look at it by a ratio perspective, we're still generally, as it relates to the average of the city, underparked. That said, we have recognized that and are seeking a parking variance. It is also important to note that we are sitting at a hub. We are less than 500 feet away from a major transit corridor, the subway system, as well as buses. So we believe that we are accommodating the use for parking as is necessary. In fact, we believe we will be overparked at the end of the day. There is 538 spaces provided for a building that has 248 units and roughly 13,000 square feet of commercial. So from that perspective, many would consider us overparked. As it relates to the corridor or the adjacency of the setback, I think you heard from staff that the reality is that there was once a two-story building that was nearly 20 feet to begin with on that site, immediately adjacent to the property. We are basically replacing that. The Planning Commission requested that we do an additional 1-foot setback, which we have done to maintain the landscaping in order to provide the green wall so that they weren't looking at the side of a building. We have tried very hard to mitigate every issue and to address every concern that the appellant has had, and we think we have done a great job. I don't know that I could add any more to what staff has said. We've completely agreed with staff as well as with the Planning Commission, and we would hope that you provide us the opportunity to answer your questions and, at the end of the day, support this project. Thank you very much, and we look forward to any questions that you have.
Great. Thank you. Kendra Casper, or did he? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Is CD13 any? I'm sorry, sir. We allow each side to speak. And CD13, is there? Do you wish to speak or?
Sure. Marie Rumsey, Councilmember O'Farrell's office. We recommend approving the city planning staff report and moving the project forward. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And if I could call the staff back up, please. My only question that I have after reviewing the documents and hearing your testimony is this a self-imposed hardship?
One of the
for the variance conditions to apply?
This is Blake Lamb with the with the planning department. One of the issues that the appellant has argued is that the applicant has created a self-imposed hardship because the site is encumbered with these parking covenants. The City Planning Commission did not agree with that argument. The City Planning Commission found that the parking covenants that exist on the site are a special circumstance and a hardship that do not apply to other sites in the general vicinity, and that they did warrant the granting of the variance. Also, another way to look at it is that the parking covenant, by the applicant providing the additional parking through these parking covenants within their structured parking, they're helping to ensure that parking in the general vicinity is not further impacted by the development of these sites. Because if those parking covenanted spaces were not provided, then there would be an even greater, could be a potential impact to adjacent uses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, any other questions or comments on this? No? Okay, I'll move to deny the appeal and sustain the City Planning Commission's recommendation to approve the mixed-use developments. Is there any objection to that? Second, Mr. I was going to call you O'Farrell, but no. Englander. And this item will move to full council. Do we have a date for this?
Yes, Mr. Chair. This is in council November 5th.
Okay, so we'll go with that item, and so ordered. Next item.
No item, just public comment.
There's no public comment. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.